Hello, and welcome to InyoPool's How-To Guide section. In this video, we will be replacing the bearings in a pool pump motor. If your pool pump is producing a screeching sound, it's likely that the bearings have failed. It's either time to replace the motor or replace the bearings in the motor. With the right tools, you can replace these bearings yourself. The motor used in this guide is a Hayward Super Pump, but many steps are applicable to other brands. This guide assumes that the motor has already been removed from the pump's housing. See the first part of our guide, How to Replace the Motor on Your Pool Pump, for instructions on motor removal. Before you get started, here are a few things you'll need. New motor bearings, shaft seal parts, a socket wrench, bearing puller, external ring pliers, a short pipe, and a hammer. Step 1. Remove impeller. In order to remove the impeller, you must first secure the motor shaft. Remove the electrical cover on the back of the motor. Then, slip an open-ended wrench over the flat portion of the shaft. This will keep the shaft from rotating as you unscrew the impeller. Move to the front of the motor and remove the impeller by rotating it counterclockwise. Step 2. Remove seal and mounting plates. After removing the impeller, the seal plate should come off easily by pulling away from the motor. Note the location of the top markings on both of the seal plate and the motor mounting plate. These markings must be positioned at the top of the motor when reassembling. We recommend replacing your shaft seal at this time. For more instructions on replacing the shaft seal, check out our guide, How to Replace a Pool Motor Shaft Seal. Once the seal plate is removed, continue to remove the motor mounting plate. After you have removed the mounting plate, you will see a rubber boot around the motor shaft called a water slinger. Slip the water slinger off the shaft. Step 3. Remove motor governor. In order to remove the shaft assembly and get access to the bearings on a Hayward Super Pump, the motor governor must be removed. To access the governor, first remove the V-switch on the back of the motor. The V-switch is secured with a single screw. Remove the screw and push the V-switch aside. It does not have to be disconnected from its wire. Next, release the motor capacitor from its bracket and move it out of the way. Like the V-switch, it's fine to leave the capacitor connected. Now, using a small pair of needlenose pliers, slip the loops of the governor springs off of their posts and remove the springs. Remove the governor weight that pivots inside the governor bracket. You may have to apply slight pressure with the needlenose pliers to spread the bracket enough to slip out of the weight. The screw that secures the governor bracket to the shaft should now be visible. Remove the screw and take out the bracket. Step 4. Remove shaft assembly. Before removing the shaft assembly, mark the end frames and motor shell with a marker. This is done so the motor can be reassembled in the original configuration. Next, unscrew and remove the 4 through bolts found on the rear of the motor. Using a hammer, lightly tap off the front end bell to separate it from the motor shell. You can now proceed to pull the rotor and shaft assembly out of the shell. The Hayward Super Pump has a circular bearing load spring in the rear bearing well. If the spring did not come out with the shaft, extract it from the rear well or shell. Step 5. Remove front end bell. The front end bell must be removed to access the front bearings. Start by unscrewing and removing the locking screw. Once removed, a locking clip should drop out. Remove the front end bell from the shaft by tapping the tabs of the bell lightly with a hammer. Continue tapping around the bell until it drops off. Step 6. Remove bearings. Set up the bearing puller on the rear bearing. The 3 teeth of the puller should be positioned on the outside rim of the bearing to clear the retainer clip on the back. The center post of the bearing puller should be positioned on the center of the motor shaft. Turn the nut on the bearing puller to work the bearing off the end of the motor shaft. Once removed, check the ID stamped into the side of the bearing to make sure you have bought the correct replacement. You may now proceed to remove the front bearing. This bearing is held in place by a snap ring that will prevent the bearing from coming off the shaft. Using a pair of external ring pliers, spread the snap ring out of its groove and slip it forward off the shaft. Using the bearing puller as before, pull off the front bearing. This concludes part 1 of how to replace the bearings in a pool pump motor. Click on the link in this video to watch part 2, where we will continue to install the new bearings and reassemble the pump motor. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to call us toll-free at 1-877-372-6038 or visit us online at www.inyopools.com.